Hello, everyone, and this is Reggie with Stock Talk. Today is the beginning of a new series. I do technical analysis. I'll just introduce myself. My name is Reggie. I do technical analysis on stocks, and that's how I pick my stocks. I look for patterns in the price movement, and once I identify those patterns, I make plays on them. So I do recommend you like and subscribe because a lot of these plays are time sensitive. So for this series, though, what I'm doing is reviewing stock picks, right? So there's some very popular guys out there that pick stocks and they post videos and people follow them. They have a good following. But something I notice, and again, you can't cover everything in a video, right? And so some things I notice is there's no technical analysis being done. And these guys are actually right. They're doing technical analysis, but they're just not sharing it because there's only so much you can put in a video. And so that's where I'm coming in at. I'm going to do technical analysis on these guys' picks to see if if these are good entry points for you. If I just completely disagree with them or agree, but it's more than just picking, right? You got to know when to get your entry. Because other than that, not saying these guys are doing this, but you can just wait for a stock to run up and say, "Hey, look, buy this one," and people will go along with you because it's ran up. People start making money, and they tell people about it. Once you make a lot of stocks, people that run up, people tell other people about it, and then you have people who come in late after the move, which you want to buy it before the move. So anyway, you can just like Nostradamus by just announcing obvious stocks, right? So let's go. And sometimes you're wrong, right? And I'm guilty of that. Like I picked, I had a last week. One of my picks was silver, and silver is still a good play. But there was a catalyst that came out later that I didn't, after I released the video, that affected the stock, right? So it was a Wall Street bets thing where they said it's going after silver, and so the regulators changed the margin requirements and it scared away people that usually do buy silver. So stuff like that you can't plan for, right? So anyway, these are his 5 picks for today, right? This week, the last few days. Home, Zone, GNUS, GOGI, and IDEX, right? So let's start with Home. I like at Home. I believe they, it used to be called Garden Ridge. Y'all remember? So that tells your age. And so at Home, a lot of home decor things and good company. Did pretty well during the pandemic. So is this a buy? Yes. So I agree with him on at home group. And if you buy now, you may be buying, I wouldn't say high, but you could get at a cheaper price. It is on an uptrend. It looks like it's starting to, according to the MacD indicator, it looks like it's starting to trade in a column because it's starting to consolidate here. And so, which means is we're going to see not a lot of price movement over the next few days. It's like back here, right? It may look like this chart here. So at home right now was in a downtrend according to the MACD indicator, and it looks like we're starting to see some weakness going back towards the upside, but it has not completed an upside or a complete reversal yet. So it's kind of like showing that it's one coming, but you can pump fake, right? So let me take my cursor here. Like here, we got a similar pattern. You see it turn red and then almost a lighter red, and that means weakness and it's heading towards the upside, and then it kind of just reversed back down a little bit too, but then popped, right? So if it'll trade in a column here. So I believe that's what's happening now, trading in a column, and it could be ready, ready up for a bounce. But because look here, back here, we had the same thing. It kind of, so you see the MACD indicator, the green lines. They kind of traded in a column and then exploded. So, and that's what happens when a stock trades in the small ranges. It trades in a small range and then explodes to the upside or the downside. Right? It's two ways it can go. So I think this would be a moderate entry point. You may have another opportunity to buy it down here at $22.74. So or it may never touch it. I mean, because look at the Bollinger Band; it's showing strength towards the upside too, on that center line. But I think the max you probably see the ceiling on it is going to be resistance of $25.84. So you could be buying a little higher if you wait, but most likely it's going to go down a bit. So I would moderately buy in at this range here and then wait for a movement down or up. So, and if it does go up, expect to bounce back down again, and then I'll give you another opportunity to buy it at where it's at now, right? So that's my opinion of At Home. Good company, decent entry point if you buy it now. That's my advice. ZOM, man, I made some good money on this one. Now this stock again, it's a consistent pattern. Here, that's like here it gaps up, comes back down, gaps up, so it makes jumps up. So here it jumped up, boom, 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 way outside the Bollinger Band. That's this green line here. It's a moving average. Comes back down, rest, jumps, boom, 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 did a huge jump here. And so you had something called a double top right here at about $1.50, where it hit $1.50, $1.49, rejected down, built up momentum again, came back, retested it, and completely broke through. Especially with all this green here, green is buying. So with all that green, it gave it a lot of momentum, bumped through. This is volume. Our MacD indicator is showing, because of that move up, huge move to the upside. And then also we have earnings coming on March 3rd. So keep that in mind too. So should you buy here? I'm going to give it a no. I'm going to give it a no because it's ran up. It's high. This candle here is so far outside the Bollinger Band. And in history, if history is right, when it makes that move, it retraces. But if you follow my logic here, it did almost a double top here, and it actually exploded twice. Boom. I would expect it to come back down, and it never did. It went up again. But again, it came back. It settled. All charts come back down into the Bollinger Band at some point because it's a moving average. So will it make another explosive move? We'll see. Pre-market will help determine that. Pre-market tomorrow will help. And so our support will be where it's at now. If it's up in pre-market, your support will be 191. If not, then our support will be down here at $1.64, and then back $1.52. And if it goes beneath $1.52 at some point, I would stay away from it because that means it's a new downtrend. Because this is a very hard support at the $1.50 mark. But so this is something. This is something that you should take with you with all trading, right? So now, price movement struggles at the whole dollar mark. So if it hits $2, it most likely will bounce down, right? Because it did that here at $1, right? Boom, $1. It actually, well, I don't know if I can use this as an example, but it did it did stop at $1, and then it bust through the next day. So here it hit $2, might bust through, but I would just wait for a pullback because like here it hit $1, bust through the next day, pulled back, actually came back under $1, and there was a huge selling, but people scooped that up at 80 cents and saw that as an opportunity. And so I believe this stock is popular enough to repeat that, in which, so if tomorrow it breaks out and you didn't buy, I wouldn't worry about it because if the pattern is consistent, it'll come back down to $2 again and give you another opportunity. So if it breaks out and hits like 220 or something, 250, I do believe you have another opportunity to buy it again at $2 once it retraces back. And that's something I wouldn't watch it. I would set a order, a order by order for when it hits that amount. All right, so that's Zone, but this is one that's going to be a runner long term. So this is a long term stock. So if you just don't want to miss out, buy it tomorrow. If it hits like 220 or something, once the market opens, or 250, whatever, take a small position if you think it's going to run. Take a small position, but wait and see if it retraces back. If it does, that'll give you an opportunity to buy more. But if you just don't want to miss out, then I would just take a small position. But this is a very, just from a stock perspective, it has a lot of chatter about it out there. A lot of people buying it, and actually, this was very popular. I remember this stock. I've been watching this stock for a while, and I remember it used to trade about 20 cents for the longest, and then went. And sometimes it'll go back down to 10 cents or 12, and 12 was the buying. Like, if it hit 12, it's gonna eventually go back up to 20. But it stayed like 20 cents, 25 cents for the longest, and then it became a deal when it's dropped lower than that, and then now it just exploded out. So bravo to those long-term holders. Um, so zone media is a buy, but not right now. And if you have to, take a small position. That's my advice on ZOM. So on this one, I agree with Chris on buying, but I do not agree if you should buy it right now. And he didn't really say that. Doesn't really state it, but he kind of congratulates you if you're already in on the move. Sometimes he tells you to wait and see, though. Sometimes he'll tell you wait for it to back off, or he'll give you a price point, but from a technical analysis point of view, I wouldn't touch it right now, but I would be on my watch list if you're looking to get a new position now. If you already own it, hold. This is a long hold. All right. GNUS. So Genius brand is a buy, and I will caution you about getting advice on Genius. At one point, Genius was known as a pump and dump stock. It jumped up to like $12 at one point, and people got burned from it. And so it's kind of the joke of a lot of chat rooms when people say Genius. They use it as a joke in comparison to like a Hertz or almost like a GameStop now, where it's something that was a pump and dump. And I don't think that's a justifiable opinion of it, because it's a good company. They lost a little bit of money. The pump and dump wasn't their fault, number one, but they lost a little money because of the pandemic. They're a television network, and television network makes money off of ads. And even Google's a good comparison, and a good way to judge Genius as far as when you watch revenues and ad spend. And so companies weren't spending a lot on advertisement because you couldn't get customers to your home, right? To your store. Um, so anyway, they kind of hurt from that, but I do believe this is a good 2020 stock, a good comeback stock. They still been making moves. They've been adding channels. They've been adding cartoons. They've been doing deals with like LG to have their app automatically on their smart television. So they're making moves. So I do agree with Chris that Genius is a buy. Is it a buy right now? I would say no. I do believe there's opportunity to get it cheaper, because now it's still selling down hard on a downtrend. Our resistance for this stock is the $2 mark. I do believe it will get close to $2 again and maybe retrace down. Um, and confirmation will be a solid break out of the $2 range. So if it breaks out of $2 and holds, I believe it will stay, right. Excuse me. And so our next level of support will be $1.79. So 10 cents may not be that big of a deal, but dollar stocks, you buy a lot of, right? And so 10 cents does make a difference. So anyway, it's $10. You got 100 shares, that's $10. So anyway, if you buy at these levels, again, pre-market will determine Monday's pre-market will determine where we're at on the stock. But if it does dip down to the $1.78 mark, I would scoop up shares, and you may have an opportunity because it look like it's going to see some weakness. So it look like you may have an opportunity to buy it even cheaper. So I think that will be the place to buy it. I'm trying to draw a trend line here, and possibly as days go by, that target is going to be that bottom target will be moved with this trend line. But I believe this will be the bottom. So tomorrow, our lowest point should be the $1.78 on Genius. But again, a weakness is coming. So just the MacD indicator is showing it may hit a death cross in which it'll dip down like this, or it could just bounce and be a pump fake. But we need volume. So the volume is starting to get weak on Genius, and so the volume will determine that. But you definitely gonna have other opportunities to buy it a little lower. It may come down here and test this 173 mark, and possibly 150. If it gets to 150, it definitely is a buy. We may have a head and shoulders pattern setting up too, which this will be shoulder number one. This will be the head, and the other shoulder may be up in this range somewhere. It could be an ascending head and shoulders pattern once it breaks $2. So I do believe the 250 mark may be a little ways away from us right now. So that's where I'm at on Genius. Our next stock is OGI. So OGI had a breakout. And again, this one, breakouts, then retraces back, heads up, comes down. So it doesn't stay up very long, but it takes big jumps up and then kind of looks weak and then takes another jump up, kind of looks weak. So like here, jumped up and traded in an ascending column, right? And so here is this overextended. I would give this one a no on buying now, but long, yes. Why? Number one, this is a cannabis play. And so I do believe there are other cannabis plays, such as a Tilray. But if you're looking to get into something cheap, this would be a nice supplement to your cannabis portfolio. But Tilray, as far as a profitability point of view, and if like someone were to get a government contract for whatever reason, I believe Tilray would be one of the considerations. So anyway, OGI, Chris recommended, uh, and it made a huge move up. I mean, it'd be nice to get it before the move, because that move, especially if you knew about the stock, that move, you can see it coming because you saw it trading in a column here, which usually is a buildup for a big movement, right? Like back here, look, see, traded in a column, and then bam, this exploded. Down, retraced, got back to, look, and you can see the column. And so let's go long, right? Let's look at it from a long point of view. Here. Oh, I got this. There we go. To here. So that was the support. This is a very rough support lines. Just trying to keep the video short. And here, right? So it kind of continues trading column, boop, boop, boop. Exploded, another column, exploded, another column. And now it's exploded, but it's so far outside of Bollinger Band. Similar to here, right? In which it came back in the Bollinger Band and retraced. So it needs to come back inside. So I think this one will be a buy at so your first support will be $2.24. Second will be $2.13. And I put the third at about $2. I was going to say the bottom of this candlestick, which is 2.202, but I think it'll retest $2, which it'll be a buy. This is a buy, but I just wouldn't buy at this level. I'd rather put that money into Tilray or somewhere else until this becomes a deal again. But to me, this is just it's high, and also it's based off of news, right? Most of these. So this was the Georgia election here, where the Democrats won the House, and you knew it was going to be some cannabis legislation. It jumped here, I believe, it was around the election. Once you knew Biden was president, it jumped because they knew legislation for marijuana, for cannabis, excuse me. And so this is off of news. So it's going. I honestly believe it'll retrace back down unless we get more news on legislation of cannabis. So I'd be careful buying at these levels right now because we're buying off of news and not actual. But eventually, if you already bought it, eventually it's going to go up anyway. So I'm just going to say that. But I believe there'll be another opportunity to buy it cheaper. That's all I'm saying. But it's going to go up because we know the legislation is in the pipeline. IDEX, right? Another popular one. This one did form a double top. No, it's actually a triple top. It tested the $4.75 mark back here, jumped here, tested it again on February 1st, tested it on February 3rd, and then completely exploded out of it. And when it explodes out of that top, right, that resistance, there will be profit taking, right? You should, profit take. Once it explodes out, you don't sell your whole position, but you at least take out what you put in, right? And a little gas money from there. And so it traded down. This could be an opportunity to buy it now, but it's extended. Again, it's very extended. But so pre-market, I'll watch it pre-market tomorrow. If it's starting to head, so your next resistance is going to be this $5.51 mark, 550 or 532 will be your next level of resistance, but it may keep running. This depends on volume, but the volume is very choppy, right? Look down here. This is volume. The green is buyers when the buyers won, the red is when the sellers won, and the volume is just low. So it depends what kind of volume it gets tomorrow, but it may retrace back down to that 475, in which I would take a small position on the stock going up, right? Okay. So that's about it. Oh, quick recap too on Genius. I forgot to say. Genius also is doing a they're they're offering more offering, right, in which they're offering more stocks to buy, but it's a shelf offering, which is good. A good thing, because usually an offering triggers a sellout. That means your stock, your stocks are a bit watered down supposedly, but I just whatever. You don't own as much of the company a percentage as you thought you did, but I don't see that. I don't see why that would be a problem if the stock's going. The stock is moving. So excuse me for rambling. So anyway, Genius is doing a shelf offering, which means uh, they're filed to, instead of constantly having to keep filing for offerings, do a shelf offering, which you register to sell a certain amount of stocks, extra offerings in your company, but you don't have to sell them all at once. You can do it in increments, which is good because that means you do it in increments without having to constantly keep filing, which is good because we don't want to constantly have to have a sell off, right? Also, it's them betting on themselves, right? Because they want to sell when the stock is worth the most, right? Or even if it's over bought. So that's why a lot of times when it comes to offerings, people sell their stocks because that means it's gonna be watered down, like I just said, but also the company may feel the stock is overvalued because they're selling because you sell high, right? So they're just like us; they want to sell high, and so um, that means they're doing it. They do it now. They do it to raise money too, right? So they need to raise a little money, but they're going to do it in the future, which means they believe their stock price is going to rise. So that's another feather in the cap of genius. Okay, so these are my picks. So I agree on about 3 or 4 of his 5, right? With the asterisk, right? 3 definitely, 2 has an asterisk, right? So um, Chris ain't good brother. Love his channel, man. I'm a subscriber because it's nice to hear when people validate some of the things that you do, like like some stocks I pick. You hear somebody else say, like, "Yep, see, everybody on the same page." We all look at the same charts, I believe. So I just want to add a little bit more context to his picks on entries, and these are all. I would provide context on exit points, but these are all good long-term stocks that are cheap. So, any questions? Feel free to comment below. If I missed anything, feel free to comment below. If you have a guy that you follow that you get picks from, and you want a little bit more context, feel free to leave the name in the comments, and I will add a video to it, or add it to my video if I feel the guy has enough followers and it's worth it. This is Reggie with Stock Talk. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I do technical analysis on stocks. And a lot of times I will find a good pattern that's about to break out and I'll release a video letting you guys know about it. So these things are time sensitive. So don't forget to like and subscribe. And this is Reggie with Stock Talk. We'll see you on the next video.